Today I'll be reacting to another ABBA Preach video, and this one is about Fresh and Fit and Skippy. I've watched videos on Fresh and Fit, and I did see a couple of videos on Skippy that I did not react to, but I just saw him in my own time, so I'm familiar with this guy and his story. Frankly, he makes my skin crawl. So do Fresh and Fit. I find them cringy, disingenuous, and superficial.
Today's topic.
And also, oh, I guess superficial describes it. Yeah, just like very surface level.
Skippy, right? Skippy. Ogden, Utah? Okay. You live in the United States?
And I mean, look at that. Like, they're giving this dude a platform. The guy who is responsible for like harassing women, making them feel grossly uncomfortable, violating their boundaries. They invited him onto their show. And I don't know if they're getting ready to grill him, but...
Yes. Okay. Do you have running water? Yes. You have electricity? Mm-hmm. You have food in the fridge? Yeah. Okay. You got nothing to be depressed about. There's children right now
That's such a ridiculous thing to say. Granted, there are different degrees and levels of severity to depression that you can suffer from more acutely if you live in deprivation. Like if you suffer from material deprivation and you don't have enough to take care of your most fundamental needs, there is something to be said about the varying degrees and levels of severity to your stress, to your anxiety. And you know how in many ways it is not your fault, and the reason why you feel the way you do has more to do with external factors around you than they do internally, right? Because if you're born into abject poverty, you don't have running water, you don't have electricity, you're suffering from food insecurity, which a lot of people in the United States, 22% of kids in the United States suffer from food insecurity. 50% of Black and brown kids under the age of 6 live in poverty. Those are numbers that we should be ashamed of as a society. But just because you do not live in that severe kind of environment doesn't mean you can't suffer from depression.
don't even have clothes, that don't have food, that don't have anything. Only in the West do we have this notion that, oh man, it's so tough. Oh my God, I'm sad. I don't know how I feel. The problem is this.
See, this is why Fresh and... Where do I even start with them? One, you're homogenizing an entire hemisphere of people. Granted, the West traditionally means, or when people use the term, they're referring to Western Europe and North America. However, the Western Hemisphere consists of some of the poorest places on planet Earth. Say Brazil, Guatemala, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, places where people live in abject poverty. And even in relatively wealthy countries where the wealth is concentrated heavily upward in the top 1%, people still suffer with material deprivation. There are Indian reservations in the United States where kids are living without running water and without electricity. Poverty rates on reservations are out of control. Poverty rates in the territories that we have, Puerto Rico, Guam, Hawaii, out of control. Even in these major thriving cities, people are living on the streets, and that causes a series of psychological distortions and impacts that makes it difficult for them to function, difficult for them to be happy. And it can cause depression, anxiety, PTSD. So I think, I don't even know if I get where he's coming from, because this is a classic trope that insensitive people who lack empathy and just happen to be born or have a lineage in the East bring with them to the West when they migrate. And even people in America who are, you know, born and raised here, got family here, they also peddle this idea that you have nothing to be depressed about. You were born in America. Like, yo, what the fuck? What? Granted, Skippy, well, let me just play the video.
You're looking at what you don't have instead of looking at what you do have.
Yes. But that's a different conversation. That's a different conversation, bro. But you got to lead with that. You know what I'm saying? Lead with that, because that's a good point. A lot of people do lack gratitude, and they look at what they don't have versus what they do have, and they harp on what they don't have, which in some ways dictates their mental state. But don't lead with you were born in the West, because that don't got shit to do with the conversation, man.
And you're making excuses for your inadequacies, okay? All I hear is wah, 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 fucking wah, bro. And the thing is that you've gotten away with doing this for your entire adult life because no one's told you the truth.
The stigma surrounding depression and mental health in general.
I think in some ways, Fresh and Fit, or whoever, Fresh or Fit, whoever was talking, he's got some good points. And that means a lot coming from me.
Is terrible. This whole idea that depression is a thing of the West is a flat out lie. Let me tell you guys, man. Depression exists in third world countries and in abundance as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's circumstantial due to other things, but even for the wealthy, they're not always doing great.
I can attest.
I just grow a bit tired of hearing folks talk about depression or mental health when they have no knowledge about it, nor are they licensed to really talk about it. I for the life of me, don't understand why people would go to
this
YouTube.
Fresh and Fit, his ego is so inflated. He has such an overestimated view of his worth and his contributions to the world. He thinks so highly of himself that he could never conceive of depression. He won't allow himself to be depressed because his life is a lie. You saw what he put on his little escort page when I make all this money. I'm over 6'2". I'm a high value man. I'm productive. All I do is work. And if you want to be with me, that's somebody. It's hard to be depressed when you're a grandiose narcissist. I'm not saying that it's impossible, and I'm not saying that he suffers from grandiose narcissism, but I could understand why there's such a disconnect between his ability to empathize with Skippy and his ability to look at mental health for what it is.
Even us, people come into our lives sometimes and like, bro, I'm hearing voices. I'm like, nigga, go see a shrink, go see a doctor. I'm not qualified. And the people's understanding of depression isn't there. It's not because you felt pain that you understand what it's like to feel chronic pain every day. You don't. You don't know what it's like to have a condition like that. It's not because you've been depressed that you understand depression or chronic depression, right? Or clinical depression. You don't understand it necessarily. There's people who legitimately have mental imbalances. There's people whose wires are crossed.
I got chronic depression. My entire life since I was a little kid, I've been depressed off and on.
There's people whose depression, maybe it's circumstantial. There's some people who, for whatever reason, it's just there. And if you can't understand it, for you to sit there with anybody and say, oh, this is the thing in the West, or you're not depressed, you don't know. This idea of depression is inherently linked to what you have and what you don't have. You don't know what you're talking about. Depression is complicated. And people who have everything in life sometimes are depressed, and people who have nothing in life are sometimes depressed. There's such a negative stigma surrounding mental health and these kinds of things, right? Especially the whole tough it up, man up, all this other stuff. It's like, guys, sometimes you need to go seek help. Yeah. You can work out.
Toughen up and go seek help. Those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Encouraging somebody to get their shit together and toughen up does not have to be exclusive from getting help. In fact, those two variables should be tied together. Toughening up and getting help. Getting help is a form of toughening up.
As much as you want. Sometimes you need to see a doctor. We especially from our communities, right? The whole reason why people think that a lot of these mental health issues are just a Western thing is because in our countries, we don't even acknowledge any of these things. We just say they're crazy or we ignore it.
Yeah, and the thing that happened...
I'm telling you this right now. When I was living in Ethiopia, the amount of mental health issues I saw from people in the streets, right? Because these people just get abandoned and they're homeless. No, some of them are actually just, they have issues.
And the thing that happened is that in these countries, we say it's a thing of the West, it's a thing of the West. No, it's not. It's not. And but we don't hear about it. Yeah, because we're not diagnosed and we're not.
And I would say, sorry to cut him off, but I would say if we're going to talk about the West in such broad terms, I do think it would be reasonable to infer that the West has been responsible for perpetuating, exacerbating, and reproducing generations of depression, i.e. slavery, colonialism, the legacies that those things had on every corner of the earth. But that goes towards supporting my overall point and Abin Preach's overall point, which is that no one can escape from depression based on their ethnicity or their nationality or their race, gender.
It's not, and but we don't hear about it. Yeah, because we're not diagnosed and we're not helping them. We just leave them be. And not only that, that's one of the reasons why living expectancy is far less in those countries. A big part of it is because of that.
You also got like the food and the nourishment. I mean,
they're not diagnosing it. They just
quality of water, quality of air.
just keep on going. You know what I mean? Oh, oh, you know who you're causing? Because he's just a little bit
even those things are tough.
different. They don't talk about shit like that ever. You know what I mean? So, oh, he's a little bit different. It's either a bad spirit. It's either because the person fell on his head, or he just went like that, or it was sorcery. Often the things that happens, and they don't link it to something that is bigger, and it's not diagnosed.
Some people with depression, their brains are literally different. They can look at it on a CAT scan, whatever it is that they use, and they can see the differences in their brain reactions. You guys have to understand, it's not something you do with self-help. It's not something you undo with YouTube. For some of you, you've gone through a depressing period and you came out of it. For some people, depression is their whole lives, from when they are a child to when they are going to die. It never ends. You know, someone said this. They said, depression...
You can lower the frequency and you can increase the frequency based on your surrounding, based on the amount of self-help you have engaged in through therapy, through learning more about yourself and about psychology, through coming to terms with things that have happened in your past. But rarely can you eliminate it. It's about increasing the frequency or decreasing it. And if you surround yourself with people who are stigmatizing you because of the way that you feel, that's going to increase the frequency. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are supportive and care about you and push you to do good things and are patient with you, then you're going to decrease the frequency.
It's like when your brain wants to die, but your body wants to live. Guys, you may never understand that. Even though you may have struggled, even though your circumstances in life may be far worse, your brain just may be built differently.
And sometimes it's the opposite, where my body wants to die, but my brain wants to live. See what I'm saying? My brain wants me to die, but my emotions want me to die, but my brain is telling me to live.
So, on the outside, the reason why I don't like this is it stops people from getting the treatment that they need. The mere fact that people come to me every day and they're like, this is what I'm dealing with, this is my symptoms. Do I look like a doctor? Have I ever pretended to be one? Have I ever tried to diagnose folks and be like, you're a nurse? I try to avoid doing that or pathologizing things.
But by giving commentary, you, especially if you got something, people think you got something to say, they're going to come to you and ask those questions and spill their, and y'all gotta understand, you know, I'm dealing with my own shit. I'm running a big YouTube channel, another YouTube, Manny Reacts. I react to music and shit. You know, I got my own shit going on.
I don't have the aptitude for it. Understanding your limits is super important. So I look at you, the viewer, and I say, guys, whatever you're dealing with, you're struggling with, YouTube may have some great insight, some great information. Fantastic. But don't let anybody tell you guys what's going on in your head, other than people who are actually trained for it. Okay? My final note, if you're unhappy with your life, getting women will not just inherently make you happy. Okay? There's plenty of guys out there who have the most amount of access to women and are absolutely miserable.
Fucking miserable.
Who take their lives. Absolutely attractive people who, for whatever reason, they wake up every day and they want it to end. You don't just wake up one day and become suicidal. Like, there's a progression that happens there. There's circumstances. There's imbalances that get you to that point. Understand that the journey to getting a healthy, balanced life isn't a simple one. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. Okay? So, I think that's kind of like the last one I want.
I'm not going to comment on the people on the video. What I'm going to do is this. Basically, depression is often a chemical imbalance in your brain. If I can sum it up.
No, that's what it is.
I summed up something that is very difficult to sum up, but it can be a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's not something that just happened in the West. You are a human being. You can have chemical imbalance in your brain.
Anybody could get cheated on. Anybody could lose a loved one. Anybody could be bullied. Anybody could be abused when they were a kid. You know?
It's just that. It's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with running water. It has nothing to do with the possession that you have. You can have a whole Lamborghini sitting in your driveway, a big ass car and everything installed, and you can one off yourself. You know what I mean? By that definition, all the stars that kill themselves are just, you know, pussies or whatever. They have nothing to complain about. We don't know that. There's chemical imbalances and things that people are dealing with. And that's why we can't just summarize it to the things that we have. It's not that. Yes, I agree that money doesn't buy happiness, but it does make shit easier But it doesn't mean that shit cannot happen and chemical imbalance and depression cannot happen. It's much more complex and difficult than that. It really sounds like, it makes it sound like people that are depressed, no, people that are suffering from depression are really just complaining. That's not what it is. It's not just someone
And most of them don't.
complaining.
That's a problem.
It's not, oh, he's not happy. It's not, it's deeper than that. So, yeah,
10%.
it's making,
10% of all adults suffer from it.
Yeah, it's
I'm surprised the numbers are that low.
It's a shortcut. It's a very big shortcut, but at the end of the day, it's not the first time that that's happened. But I'm not gonna comment on that anymore. All that to say, it's complicated. Don't sum it up to that. It's
USA depression rates 6.7. Well, I think that also has a lot to do with how we define depression, the criteria we use, and whether folks are in and out of bouts of depression. Okay, so 10% ages 18 to 25. And I'd imagine for protected groups, or for vulnerable groups rather, say the LGBT group, or people of color, or low income people, or young men who are single, those rates are even higher.
Yeah, there's people who are ultra successful, who achieve everything in life and still feel that for whatever reason. Okay? And the way people talk about depression, a lot of stuff, is the way people used to talk about PTSD.
oh my god, I literally have PTSD from this cockroach I saw. Bitch, no.
I hate that.
No. No.
Not even that. It's like they didn't think it was a real thing.
No, absolutely.
Or they didn't treat it like it, or they didn't address it as such.
They only attributed it to war. Attributed it to war. It just sounds funny. Attributed it. And they called it shell shock.
So absolutely not. I'm gonna finish with this.
They didn't think anybody who wasn't in a war zone could develop shell shock, otherwise known as PTSD.
These things on my Instagram. King Preach the Petty. I ask people to ask me questions and stuff like that, and often it's like, yo, I have this, I have that, and the first thing I do is like seek professional help. Oh, I'm not that guy. Ooh, baby, what should I do if I feel like I'm gonna kill myself?
Go get help.
Seek professional help.
Go get help.
I am not 411. I am not 911. I am not that guy. I am not. Go see it. That's the first thing I'm gonna say. The last thing I'm gonna say is this: no depression is equal. If you went through yours, doesn't mean that other people, it's not the same as other people. And also, nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. You can go through your whole life without depression. Good on you, but you're not safe. It can happen to anybody.
PTSD is a perfect example of that. You could be a well-adjusted person and go through a traumatic experience and never be the same again.
Yep.
And can't close doors. You hear any loud noise, you freak out.
Yep.
That happens. Those are real issues.
Based on genetic factors, environmental factors, biological factors, a whole host of things.
Nobody's safe.
Anything else you want to say?
Nah.
All right. Leave your comments below on what you guys think in regard.
Likewise, I hate to cut them off, but if y'all enjoyed this video or took something away from it, please comment, like, and subscribe. I will see y'all next time. Peace.